Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the show. Thank you guys so much for checking out the episode. Make sure that you hit the like button on your way in the building and let's make it do what it's going to do. I am sure that tonight's episode is going to ruffle some feathers on both sides. It's going to ruffle some feathers on both sides. Please make sure that you hit the like button. I've also already started a poll. And I see some people have already answered it. Make sure that you hit the poll. And there is a Q&A. And the Q&A question is, are you intimidated by a woman's success? Why or why not? Fun fact. Usually when I sit down to do these, the cat that my daughter dropped off in my home sits under my feet and she plays with my feet. And sometimes she wants to be frisky. And this is one of those times. So if you see me jumping, it's because she wants to run outside and play. So, all right, let me greet some people here. We're going to get into it here. What's up, Rhonda? Appreciate you coming through. And as Rhonda always says, make sure that you hit the like button and answer the poll question. And if you're a man, answer the question, are you intimidated by a woman's success? Good Friday evening to Miles and to everyone else. Appreciate you guys coming through. Hello to Deborah Hutchinson. What's up, everyone else? Night Call 41 is in the building. Hello to you. Michael Malice says, I like all my women making more money. The more making more money, the more they talk. Okay. Definitely a triggering question. I think the answer is going to be kind of surprising, I think. I spent the greater part of today doing some research about this, even though I was supposed to be doing some other things. But it was an intriguing question. I was asked this particular question, but we'll get into that in a moment here. Night Call again. What's up? Happy Friday to everyone. W Dave for you. So glad to be here and glad to see you as well. What's up to everyone? Make sure y'all hit the like button. Cynical Optimist. Hello. It's good seeing everyone here. Please make sure that you hit the like button. And if you're catching a replay on this, make sure you hit the like button as well. Yes. Let's get the likes up. Get some more people in here. All right. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go through this, and I am going to keep up. I'm going to keep up the chat over here. If you want to get my attention, the super chats are always open. I can do the best I can to monitor. Do have a couple of mods in here. I would appreciate your help and assistance with making sure that everything stays on kosher, but I have not had that problem. Let's see. Okay. So let's go through this here. First thing I'm going to do is it was hard to really kind of figure out how to ask the question in Google in order to get some responses. I went over to Google Scholar as well to try to figure out some stuff. But the first thing I want to place up here. So let's do this here. Let's define what we're talking about here. So this is intimidated. Now I typed in intimidated into the into the chat here. Let me take this down for a second here. I typed it not into the chat, into Google to try to get a basic definition as to what we're exactly talking about, right? So this is what popped up, and it had his brother's face up here. I didn't ask him to do that. ChatGPT or Google put this brother's face up there, with the hoodie on and stuff. So I didn't do that. So intimidated. Intimidated describes a feeling of being frightened, nervous, or lacking confidence. It usually happens when you feel overwhelmed by a person's power, status, or an unfamiliar situation, making you hesitate to take action or speak up. And of course, you can see a little reference there comes from Cambridge Dictionary. For comprehensive look at the term, consider these topics. Common causes you might feel intimidated by: authority figures, a strict boss or aggressive lawyer, or demanding teacher; perceived superiority, feeling overawed, by someone else's wealth, talent, or confident personality; new environment, stepping into a massive university or male-dominated field, or trying a complex new skill. Signs and physical reactions. When intimidated, you might experience physical and emotional responses, including a rapid heart rate, nervous knot in your stomach, subconsciously shrinking in your body posture or avoiding eye contact, freezing or overthinking what to say to avoid making a mistake. So those are the basic definitions that we're working with here, and those are the common causes. It also gave some ideas about how to overcome some of these situations, but that was too long to cut out. So that's the basic definition that we're working with here. So, are you intimidated when and if you are come in contact with a strong, independent, boss babe type of energy type of person? Are you intimidated? Do you get a knot in your stomach? Do you deal with a shrinking sense of self worth when you're in these people's presence or in the presence of a woman? Will it cause you not to want to partner up or to date or to want to be with such a woman? So this is what we're going to try to get into tonight. Now, I addressed this. I think this might be my second or third, probably my second time talking about this, I think. But I don't know what I said in the previous shows, but I wanted to do a little bit more research on this just to kind of see where we're at, because I hear the exact thing that Big Mo 89 says, and he was the first one to comment, so I appreciate him doing this, right? So he says, "Good evening, Dr. L. Great subject to address. In my opinion, men are avoiding the psychological, emotional abuse the boss babes come with, especially with regards to success being used to enable it." So in other words, the common narrative in these spaces is that men are not intimidated by a woman. They don't get the knots in their stomach or feel as if they got to shrink down in any way, etc. But they don't want to deal with the personality of these types of individuals, and the enabling powers that be that cause them to act in certain ways. Now, I did watch a couple other YouTube videos. I'm not going to play the guys that I did watch, but they all said the same thing. This is not a matter of it's not a matter of intimidated by your degrees, your success, your job, your career. The problem and the issues was and is the problems is and are that it's the attitude of entitlement. It's the bossiness that comes with being a boss babe, never being able to turn off the energy. So that is what a lot of men are repulsed by. So we'll get into that in a little bit here. It was hard to, I'm going to tell you, it was hard to find some things that would kind of illustrate this. So first thing I'm going to do here is get rid of this because the Washington Post here is always acting funny here. So I'm going to put this on the screen here. Let me get rid of this here. All right, so this says, this comes from the New York Post. Husbands whose wives are the breadwinners more likely to report mental distress, study finds. Now, here's what everything I'm going to research tonight is going to be very, very female oriented. And I don't know if that was done on purpose or what, but the studies that I'm going to read over, the articles I'm going to read over are really going to come from the frame of reference that there's something wrong with the men, and men got to change the way that they look at the world. I'm just saying what the articles I'm going to say and what the research is saying. I've already laid out to you what men are saying. That is not the inherent intimidation. It is the attitudes and boss babe mentality that comes with that. I couldn't find anything that said that. Now, I'm not saying that the men aren't telling stories. I am saying if men are this the way men feel, men ought to speak up about that. And I did find one YouTuber. The reason I'm not going to play him is because I think he's kind of a grifter, in all honesty. But he did say that. He did say that. All right, so let's read through a little bit of this here. There's a late Lindsey Graham there. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything about that. I'll try to keep this nice here. Rich wife, rich life. Husbands whose wives earn more than 2/3 of the household income are far likelier to report mental distress than those who are breadwinners, a new study found. The study from The Economist, I don't have a subscription to The Economist, so even if I did, I couldn't read it here because it's a subscription. I did go over there. It's behind a paywall. Featured an analysis of 17 years of data on young working couples and found that only 30% of heterosexual couples featured wives who out earn their husbands despite a shrinking gap. Relationship with such an income dynamic can reportedly present emotional challenges for the husband. Again, think about this. They're not talking about the women, they're just talking about the husbands. And this is why I put in a poll. I wanted to ask, I wanted to do another poll later on. We'll see how it goes. What are the ladies looking for in men? Because that plays a large part of it. Again, the angle that I have read thus far is all saying that this is a male issue. Men got to get over this. It's the patriarchy, these types of things. The problem with that is they're not taking into consideration anything I read, what the women want and how they feel. There's going to be a couple of things that are going to hint around it, allude to it, but outright saying it as they're saying this, they're not going to say that. And that's an interesting phenomenon. For cohabitating couples where the woman earns more than half of the household income, men were roughly 1.5 times as likely to report distress, even factoring in age, education, income, and the study. The study found that women who are primary breadwinners were also more likely to report lower satisfaction within their relationships. That's important. They're going to factor in lower satisfaction within their relationships. But from my readings of this, and I could be wrong, reading behind the lines, in between the lines, they're blaming this on the men. The women aren't happy because the men aren't happy. We'll continue to go on with this. This could be down to a perception that women are often responsible for more of the work at home, even if they earn more than their husbands, according to Dr. Misty Hedgenes of the University of Kansas. In other words, women aren't happy because they're still doing much of the cooking, cleaning, etc. at home. Family work is still predominantly falling on women's shoulders, no matter what they are, whether they are not breadwinner or not. Hagen has told The Economist. The study seems to support earlier work from 2015, which found that wives' share of household income dropped sharply after 50% in terms of frequency. In other words, wives are more likely to report earning slightly less than their husbands than slightly more, according to the study of Maureen Bertrand, an economist at the University of Chicago. A more recent French study found that couples in which women earn around 75% of household income are around 30% more likely to split up than more evenly matched couples. So are they splitting up over housework? Or are they splitting up because of the boss babe and energy and mentality, one of the first things we talked about already? Why are they splitting up? Have y'all hit the like button? Make sure you hit the like button, right? Let's see. The last study appears to show a disconnect between people's stated preferences and their actions. Stated preferences and their actions. In other words, it's okay for us to, the woman earns more, but then next thing you know, they end up splitting up and 30% more like, oh, excuse me, is it 30? Yeah, 30% more likely to split up. Well, why is that? Put this a little bit bigger so y'all can see that here. Only 10% of Americans believe that men being out-earned by women was bound to cause problems in 2020, the most recent year of the data. 2022, excuse me. 10% of Americans believe that men being out-earned was going to break them up. Even though that's what they believe, that's what they said, the results are saying that 30% more likely than evenly or couples on the same par. That was lower than any other country featured in the study, including Germany, 16%, China, 27%. It is also representing a sharp drop in concerns about such pay disparities in recent years. In 1998, by contrast, more than a third of those surveyed thought a woman out-earning a man was a certain cause of problems. So as time goes on, people start to think this, stop thinking a certain way. All right? Okay, so that's that. Let me see here. Let's get to let's put this one up on the screen here. Share screen. This comes from Pew Research here. So this is Americans see men as the financial provider, even as women's contributions grow. For couples today, a growing share of women are providers, but public looks to men for family financial support. And this is part of the narrative that is going to be a common theme throughout all of this is what is society pushing? What is society pushing? That's the question, right? So percentage of couples where the man earns more than a woman, in 87% in 1980. 2017, when this study comes out, it's 69%. So women are on the rise. Now it's, women are on the rise. Percent of men and women saying that being able to support a family financially is very important for men. 72% here. A man has to be a good husband or partner. 72% say that. The women say that they have to be a good husband or partner. So the women are saying that the men, they're looking for good husbands and partners as well, but he's got to be a provider. And a woman needs to be a good wife or partner. 25% for the men, but the women are saying that they want that the woman has to be a good provider as well. Americans say a man should be able to support a woman financially, support a family financially, but don't say the same about women. Percentage of adults saying it's very important that a man woman has each trait in order to be a good husband or partner. Being a caring, a responsible, compassionate, right? 86% of men say that, 90% of women say that. Or a good wife and partner. Being able to support a family, financially, 71% of men say that. 32% of women say that. So the onus is still on the men. The onus is still on the men to be able to do that, to be able to support a family. At least that's what they want. Who's contributing to the household chores? 50%, 57% of men say this. 63% women want more men to do more chores around home. And education ranks low on that. So this comes from Pew Research. You can guys go over there and read that. This was from 2017. All right, let me play a couple of videos here to kind of illustrate what we're talking about. Go to Instagram, grab you guys' attention with a little bit of this. Let's talk about Keke Palmer here.
Keke Palmer addressed being single in an interview with the Rolling Stone. And she said, there's nobody interesting, but she also said she thinks they're scared. This needs to be studied because if you are a Keke Palmer admirer, which I think most of us are, you know that Keke Palmer should have an endless line of men waiting to take her out on a date. She's smart. She's funny. She's incredibly wise. She's incredibly talented. She's a principled person, which I really admire about her. There's a reason why she does the things that she does. If men are scared to ask out Keke Palmer, it's not a Keke Palmer problem. And I think this is what I want to break down. There are such high quality women available, interested, ready to settle down, who have principles, they're beautiful, they're smart. Why is there not a line out the door of high quality, interesting men wanting to take them out on a date and settle down with them? That baffles me beyond anything else. And I don't always feel like it's been this way. I don't feel like culture has always been this way. And I want to understand why now? And why Keke Palmer? Why pass that up? Keke Palmer addressed being.
I don't know what rock this woman has been under. I don't know what rock this woman has been under. It's always been this way. I don't know what this lady's talking about. It's always been this way. Now she's looking at Keke Palmer and just can't believe that men aren't beating down her door. And this is again going to the fact of this narrative that goes on out here, to saying that if you get an education, then men are going to beat down your doors. Men are going to be lined up, because that was and is the way that it goes for men. It's just not the same. And we're still fighting that narrative. Not that I'm fighting. I really couldn't care less. But it's interesting that this woman would take to Beyonce's internet. She would take to Beyonce's internet and make these ridiculous statements about how come men are beating down the door of Keke Palmer. It's my understanding too that Keke has a baby out of wedlock. So I don't understand. I don't understand what she's talking about. I really literally do not understand what she's talking about. So y'all help me out. Salute to BGS. Appreciate you coming through. This is definitely a hot topic. And we're going to try to get to the bottom of this, right? Like DMX said, right? It takes all night. So there's absolutely cases where women uses intimidated as a way to avoid accountability or self-reflection. So, all right. Okay, I got you. I'm reading your comment there, Gundam. I'm not going to put it up, but I did read your comment there. All right. So I want to kind of highlight that. Let me see. I think I got another video here to show. Here's one about why men never approach women anymore. This is pretty good. Ties into what we're talking about here.
Why men never approach women anymore.
I think we live in a society where men are torn down for small things, and they're scared to shoot their shot, and it's sad to see. They oftentimes bog themselves down before they even get a chance, you know? In this society, looks come first and heart comes second. It's only going to get worse unless a change is made, until people start making things online for men to really regain that confidence back.
What can girls do these days to make guys approach them more?
Smile more and really think about the things that you're saying to these guys to make them feel that way. Don't say things like, you're too short, because that really does things to guys' ego. It's harmful.
You ever seen a girl reject a guy and scarred him?
I sadly have. Bars and stuff, people just say you and turn around, and you can look at the guy in the eyes and they look really sad after, and just overall it's a bad time.
Why men never approach.
That's part of the attitude, whether it's boss babe or it's the feelings of entitlement, that they think that they don't have to talk to certain people nicely and don't have to share any type of good character. So it's not that being a lawyer or whatever, it's a matter of demeanor, attitude. Those are types of things. Here's another lady here.
Start teaching our sons not to put up with toxic women. We teach girls to have sky-high standards for men, which is great, but we don't really do the same thing when it comes to boys. And honestly, in today's world, that lesson might be even more important. Because we all know that guy who is with a woman who treats him like garbage. Probably multiple people like this. She belittles him, she talks down to him, she runs the show, she's emotionally abusive, and somehow he just kind of takes it. And I don't think this is all that rare, because modern culture tells women that they deserve everything, while also simultaneously telling them that men are the enemy. They expect a man to pay for dinner, open every door, carry every single burden, but they also want him to be passive, apologetic, and completely stripped of his masculinity. They want strong providers until it's time to let them be. They want romance until it costs them something. And when life gets boring or hard, they bounce. And that's not just me being harsh, that's the reality. Women initiate the vast majority, 80 to 90% of all divorces. Usually it's not even because of abuse or betrayal or anything catastrophic. It's usually because they just aren't happy enough. And the saddest part is that most of these guys saw the red flags, but they ignored the red flags because they were just happy to have a woman interested in them. They didn't think they could do any better. We're seeing a crisis of confidence in young men right now, and it starts when they are children. I'm raising 2 boys right now, and I really hope that they understand that if they work hard, they grow to be strong, hardworking, high value, good men. They are worthy of the best. They should never, ever, ever waste a single second of time with a girl who disrespects them. And I kind of start it right now by teaching them that they should avoid playing with boys or girls who are entitled and snotty and spoiled and bratty. Stay away from those friends. Those aren't good friends. As they get older, stay away from the mean girls in high school. Those are not the girls you want to be with. Not because you can't get them, but because you deserve a lot better than them. I just think it's really obvious that the world right now is brutal to little boys and to young men, and it tears them down every chance it gets. And as parents, I think we need to be really active in teaching our sons that they deserve better, because they do. Start teaching our sons.
Okay. So she kind of went on there a little tangent there, but I wanted to emphasize the fact that men need to not tolerate certain types of nonsense. And I can appreciate that, the fact that she said that she's raising a couple of boys and she's going to raise them with that particular attitude, that you don't have to endure anyone's nonsense. So yeah. So a couple of other articles, I'm just going to put them on the screen here just so you guys can see. So this is comes from Mother Brain. Actually, share screen. I never even heard of this news outlet or whatever, but this is why men get sad when their wives earn more. So people have been trying to unpack this for a while here. I'm not going to read all of this, but this goes into, women are on the rise. When men are out of work, they have been shown to have higher rates of depression compared to out of work women. So this is, as I mentioned before, a lot of this is going to be female oriented, talking about this is the men's fault and they need to do some adjustments within themselves. And so this is one article in this Mother Brain who is saying something like that. Here's another one here. Let's see, couples. This comes from The Conversation. Couples in which the woman is their only earner report lower life satisfaction, new research. And this is from 2023. So people have been exploring this about the mental satisfaction that goes on. It says men struggle more. Female breadwinner households, men appear to struggle more mentally than women. We found the women's breadwinning carries as much psychological burden for men that they would prefer she was not employed at all. After accounting for basic characteristics, income, and gendered attitudes, out-of-work men report significantly higher life satisfaction when both parties are jobless. Characteristics of female breadwinner homes. There was something in here about life satisfaction, masculinity, and unemployment. So, yeah. So a lot of times the ladies are looking for these types of breadwinners, and their satisfaction goes down as well, right? The life satisfaction points gives us a sense of how different groups' well-being compares. But before any controls, men's life satisfaction is 5.86 when the woman is the sole earner. So it's already low when the woman is the sole earner, versus 7.16 when the man is the only earner. So it goes up when he's the only earner. For women, it's 6.33 when she's the winner, breadwinner. It's a little bit better, and when he's the breadwinner, it's better. So in both respects, both are happier when the man is the sole breadwinner. So something to keep in mind there. So a couple more articles you guys can read. Go over there and read those if you want. I'm not going to spend all day reading them. All right. So now these are just some basic articles here. So and I do have a video that I wanted to discuss here. But before we go on to the video here, I want to no, that's not what I want to do. I want to share screen window. Oh, hold on. Where's the PDF here? Where's my PDF? Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, share. All right. So this comes to a couple of articles. I'm just going to kind of highlight them. So I just show a little bit of scholarly work that I tried to research here. So this says, in sickness and in wealth, psychological and sexual costs of income comparison in marriage, right? So we read through the abstract here. This says, as the percentage of wives out earning their husbands grows, the traditional social norm of the male breadwinner is challenged. Again, I told you this is all going to be from the female perspective or feminist perspective. Just take it for what it is. The upward income comparison of the husband may cause psychological distress that affects partners' mental and physical health in ways that affect decisions on marriage, divorce, and careers. This article studies the impact through sexual and mental health problems. Let me make this a little bit bigger here. Using wage and prescription medications from Denmark, we implement a regression discontinuity design to show that men out-earned by their wives are more likely to use erectile dysfunction medication than their male breadwinner counterparts, even when the inequality is small. Breadwinner wives suffer increased insomnia. This is what the wives suffer. At least they're saying what the women are suffering from. Insomnia, anxiety medication with similar effects for men. We find no effects for unmarried couples, right? This is something not to get married for, right? If you're out earning, if your woman out earns you as a man, you don't even care. But it's when you get married that's when the situation starts to go south, which is interesting. We find no side effects for unmarried couples or for men who earn less than their fiancés prior to marriage. Our results suggest that social norms play important roles in dictating how individuals respond to upward social comparisons. In other words, this is all society's fault. If we didn't have these social norms, then men wouldn't need to go get ED medications, and women wouldn't be having trouble sleeping if we didn't have these social norms. So, what I highlighted here is it is important to note that prescriptions reflect those that have sought treatment for sexual problems. We cannot observe those suffering but unwilling to seek treatment. So this is what they know is going on. What do we not know what's going on with what's going on behind the scenes here? I think that was pretty much it. Future work must rely on complementary survey and experimental methods to further explore the mechanisms as the driving effect. In other words, you got to ask these people, what's going on in your relationship, right? What they basically did was they took some samples from some different work environments, went to some drugstores and did a comparative analysis. Essentially, that's the long and short of it. But in order to really get an understanding, you got to have a conversation with people. And this is why it's important to ask, what is it that you want in a relationship? What is it that you want as a woman in a relationship? Do you want a man who's going to make more than you? Would you date a man who makes less than you? Would you marry a man who makes less than you? That's the only way we're going to get to the bottom of this. And to my knowledge, that work hasn't been done on that particular scale. So that's that one. In sickness and in wealth, psychological and sexual costs of income comparison of marriage. Here is another one here. This is a recipe for disaster. Female breadwinner relationships threaten heterosexual scripts. Again, they're talking about what it means to be a man. What does that look like, right? Female breadwinner relationships or FBRs occur when a woman earns more money than her male romantic partner. In 4 studies, we use diverse methods to document the threat that FBRs pose to heterosexual scripts, social conventions for heterosexual romance. First, they do reflexive thematic analysis of 94 newspapers. In other words, they comb through 94 papers and they themselves determine the themes that they would look at, right? Again, not the most rigorous of data, but this is what they did. Next, Tubry registered experiments, 880 people and 612 people revealed stigmatizing attitudes towards FBRs, right? It's about attitudes. It's about society, how society is looking at this. We were perceived to be less desirable, which were perceived to be less desirables. In other words, female breadwinning romantic partnerships or relationships were perceived to be less desirable, worse quality, and less stable than male breadwinners. This is the perception. Finally, a cross-sectional study of married women, about 511 people, affirmed that feelings of gender threat partially explain FBR's poor relationship outcomes. So in other words, if everybody didn't have these societal expectations, then the female breaded relationships might not be failing. So this is what they're all saying. And I agree with you, BGS. They don't know. They don't know, right? So that's another research there. And that one was from 2025. This is fairly recent, right? Here's another one here. What the heck is this? All is nice and well unless she outshines him. Higher social status benefits women's well-being and relationships quality, but not if they surpass their male partner. This pretty much speaks for itself. I'm not going to run through this, but essentially everything is good and hunky-dory until she starts out earning the man. Then it's a problem for various reasons. A lot of it has to do, again, with the social expectations. Let's see. This one was pretty interesting. Penalties for success, reactions to women who succeed in male gender type tasks. So in other words, if the woman is in a certain job environment and she starts doing well, then the men are going to respond. They might respond negatively. Something to think about. Something to think about. Let's see. The female breadwinner well-being penalty, differences by men and unemployment in country. I think this one is about work and employment as well, I think. All right. So just a couple of articles I read, and there's a lot of not enough work is being done in my estimation. I had another one here. I thought, yeah, this is the one I thought. All right, so that's that. All right, so now we're going to take a look at a video here from YouTube. So this was sent to me. So this is from a young lady here who is, I guess, on the come up here. And this is intimidated, successful woman. Yeah, this one. None of those women want to spend their own money. I think ultimately society wants us to think that men are intimidated with trying to balance social norms. That's what a lot of it has to do with. I think, and problem is that they weren't questioning asking those two particular types of questions in the studies that I read. So we're going to listen to this young lady here. Her name is Jezabella. This is a video that was sent to me. She's got 31K subscribers, and this is men are intimidated by successful women because she reminds them of what they are not or what they're not. So let's take a listen to this particular young lady. If you have not hit the polls, answer the question, hit the like button, all that kind of good stuff. I was talking to my son the other day, and he was saying, listen, you got to get people to hit the like button more. So based on my son's interactions there, y'all hit the like button. All right, here we go.
Never, and I mean never, date an educated woman, a successful woman, a wealthy woman, a rich girl, a dominant woman, a competitive woman, a woman that is fixed on becoming a successful entrepreneur, someone going up the career ladder, any kind of woman like that, you never ever go near.
When someone describes what they're looking for in a partner, they may say things like kindness, loyalty, financial stability, emotional intelligence. However, something is odd that's going on when it comes to what men are naming, when it comes to what they want in women. For whatever reason, the men in current times, they have been expressing a strong disdain for women that have this one characteristic, which is success. They have a strong disdain for successful women. And at surface level, it sounds absolutely absurd that men would even have this as something that they don't like. Because why would you not want to be with someone who is successful? Because achieving success, it shows a lot of other qualities that you have that can be translated into you contributing that into having like a healthier relationship, right? Things like grit, tenacity.
Okay, what would that be? That's an interesting picture she got back there. I'm actually kind of digging that, the cow with the hair rollers in.
Consistency, those are all things that a lot of people would like to have in a relationship. And I want to kind of uncover the reasons behind, why your success as a woman drives men away, not to try to like get them to like you or anything. Absolutely not. You'll know. But I really wanted to
but Indigo, and this is what the men are saying. This is what they're saying. And I'm not disagreeing that this is the narrative that we're hearing, right? At the beginning of this particular video, right, there was a Instagram video displaying don't date these type of women because of this type of thing. And I didn't put one of the articles that I did read today. It was about a former rocker who wrote this article for Medium. And he was saying that when he was on the road traveling, doing his stuff, what good would a breadwinning woman do for him? He needed somebody who was going to take care of his home. That's what he needed. And so, it's going to come down to what you're looking for and what you need in a relationship. That's what it's going to come down to. If you're a traveling truck driver, or you're always on the road, a boss babe who can't take care of your home might not be the best fit for you. And of course, you know, I do not disagree with the biological imperative that ladies are looking for someone who makes more than them, who's going to be a provider, or who's going to give in resources. I don't disagree with that narrative at all. I think that has a lot to do with it. Do I think that a lot of it is societal pressure? I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know enough about history and anthropology to answer that, or biology to answer that definitively. It would be my thought process that's what it is. But we'll continue listening to this lady and her opinion here.
Talk about this more so because just in my own personal experience, I found that the more success I ended up achieving, the harder it was for me to date. And I felt like there were more roadblocks when it came to my dating experience. So really, if this video found you, I would hope that it would resonate with you. Or if you are somebody that is a little bit more ambitious, you do see yourself being on a trajectory where success is a priority for you, I would just love to give you a little bit more insight onto kind of why this is, and to make you feel better if you are having this experience, because nothing's wrong with you. You're not doing anything wrong. Okay.
But again, is it simply because you are successful, or is it because of attitude? Or is it because the type of man that you want needs someone who's going to be home, as I gave you the story about the rocker? Or if you're a high-powered guy and you're working 12 to 16 hours a day, and you got a woman who's working that much, who's going to raise the kids? And a lot of times, you know, there's a little bit of resentment when the kids, when the ladies have to leave the work environment. You know, all this plays a part or role in this, right? Micah Malice with the $5. I do appreciate it. Balancing social norms is not real because they are forcing it on men. If you do not agree, you are sexist. Wait, they are trying to force acceptance. That was the problem. That was a big problem I had with almost every single one of those. It was always every single one of the articles and the peer-reviewed journal articles that I read, is that it was almost like this is always the guy's fault. It's the men who need to change. It's the men who need to change, and never ask the men from their estimations what is going on here. Do you not want these type of women? Is it attitude? They never even brought that up. Not that I read. It's us saying it in this particular space. So.
So before we get into the deep layers of this, because that'll be later in the video, let's give a backstory on success and kind of how it pertains to the male point of view. I also want to make it clear, 95% of my videos are coming from a perspective of men. If you are new to my channel, I used to be a stripper, okay? I have a father that owns a barbershop. He's very honest with me.
Yo, who sent this to me? I didn't even get this for you. This lady used to be a stripper, so she's talking about ambitious people? Who sent this to me? I thought she was some high-powered executive or something. Oh my God. Who sent this to me? All right, we'll continue to listen. But listen, not that you can't think further as being a stripper or OnlyFans model or actress or whatever. It's great that you're ambitious. You want to go somewhere in life. So let me not just dump on people who are in the adult industry, because I do believe that people can change, and it can start you off in your trajectory in your career. So, but let's listen to what she's got to say here.
Me about men and male nature and kind of how they think. And I've just been around a group of men for majority of my life that have just openly expressed what their thoughts are when it comes to women. So everything that I'm going to tell you, it's going to be through the lens of men. It's not going to come from my own perspective and how it is that I think. Okay. So let's take a little trip on how men, how they perceive success.
Okay. Now this is going to be interesting. She's going to tell us about what men think.
She says, I got a good job. I make very, very good money. And she says, the only thing I need now is a man. It's like, yo, it's like, who wants you? Who wants you? You're right. Like, once you have achieved these things, you have unfortunately disqualified yourself.
Ooh, shit.
And what it is these, and this is the thing. I'm not blaming
women. Women are going to hate him for that shit. They're going to hate him for that. I can't wait to put this shit out.
Number one, what does does it mean for us to have all these conversations about what do you bring to the table? The woman say she bring everything and you say, I don't want you no more. What does it mean? Number two, women exceeding expectations and being all they can be is not a negation of your manhood or masculinity. If you feel that way, then show that your shit is fragile. Number three, as a college professor, you know that studies show that female college students will literally dim their light in order to appeal to their male counterparts because they recognize that men's fragile masculinity will make you wear, man, I don't feel like a man if you know more than me, head ass. Number four, y'all make all dudes with podcasts look like some misogynistic ass suckers, bro. And speaking of suckers, that takes me to number five, man. What y'all just seen was an illustration of sucker solidarity, where you have grown-ass men trying to appeal to other suckers by demeaning women. Sucker solidarity. Number six, y'all want to go back to the past so bad because how dare a woman be high achieving? You want to go back to the times when women had to have a man to have a bank account and have a house and be able to pay bills, huh? Just say that. Number seven, I'm convinced that Jeff Bezos and the CIA is dropping down all these podcast mics to the plantation patriarchs to be able to bite back on some of that unity that we was able to get in 2020. Number eight, I'm having a hard time believing that a woman told him, I've achieved all these things, I make this money, I just need a man. I'm having a hard time believing that. It sounds like you're just trying to make a point. What university or school did everybody go to over the pandemic that made them relationship gurus now? What's the university called? Kevin Samuels University? Conclusion. If the one dude say he not blaming women for being high achievement, then who is he blaming? And the other dude, why are you so happy to gaslight women and putting this one up? You're going to make them mad. Why?
For most of history, success has been something that has only been afforded to males, okay? Success has always been the pinnacle of masculinity, right? For them to have the high-paying job, you know, the coveted career, the large house, you know, those were all things that were primarily associated with male figures. And usually women were just kind of the co-pilot for all of this. The woman was just kind of in the back that was kind of helping make everything, you know, happen. But she was like another trophy, you know, to symbolize the man's success, right? She was associated with the hard work that, you know, garnered a man his accomplishments. Now in the year 2026, everything is so much different, okay? We have women that are going to college a lot more often than men. Women are showing a bold presence in the workplace. And, you know, now that women have the ability, women have been very, very eager more than ever to want to achieve success.
I guess the question is, with that success, do you want to contribute what you're giving into? And number one, and number two, is that are you now looking down on your man if he's not as socially mobile as you are? Appreciate the $2 W Dave for you. Women in finance equals society says she's not stingy. Appreciate the $2 there. Appreciate that. Y'all hit the like button.
Who want to establish a lifestyle for themselves where they want to put in the work, they want to put in the hours, they want to put in the effort to accomplish, you know, really important and really big things. And on paper, you would think that it would sound very, very great that a woman would have a stable job, a stable income, the ability to have a nice livelihood, the ability to be able to have a lifestyle that makes her feel good, that makes her look good, you know, all of the above. And a lot of people would like to think, what could be the harm in that, right? What could possibly be wrong with a woman possessing those things? Well, men, on the other hand, they do not see it as a positive thing for success to be in the hands of women. And many men, they don't look at success at face value, okay? For a lot of men, they're going to always look at something what women are doing, and there's always going to be a bias behind it to some degree, right? They don't think of your success of like, oh, you know, that those are great accomplishments. They tend to look at your success in regards to how it's going to impact them. How would it affect them? So when men think of successful women, oftentimes they're thinking, what are you going to do with that success? How is your mind frame going to be when it comes to you having that success?
This is actually pretty good. I'm actually kind of digging what she's saying here. I think that she's trying to give some knowledge about how men see the world and what that means. I don't think just for the man as a person, but I think for the family, you know, if you're doing this, if you're going back to school, if you're trying to advance, you're working more hours, what does that do to the family? That's what I think the most important thing to come from this is, or to take away from that is. That's just my perception. So to illustrate that, this is a video I was not going to play, but I am going to play it. I think it's a skit. We'll take this down here. Let me put this up here. I think this is a skit. We'll come back to this. But I want to go back to Instagram here. I'm going to put up 3 parts that I think is a skit, but I think it's going to illustrate her point here. We'll play this in succession here. I think it's a skit, but this may be a recording that she's doing on her own here.
Can we please finish talking about what we were discussing earlier, please?
About that working shit? No, it's a wrap for that. Don't even bring that shit up.
I don't understand why. Like, when I met you, I had dreams, I had aspirations. I have a degree that I'm not using.
Dreaming. We here now. You don't have a care in the world.
It's not about not having a care in the world. It's about having something for myself. Like, it's you and the kids.
What do you need
and that
outside
is
of us? Like what you looking for out there?
It's something for myself. It's
like
something
what?
for myself.
You keep saying that
like
you ain't saying nothing. What do you need for yourself? That a job is going to get you that you don't already have. You have money in your account. You don't have a bill. You don't have a
It's
car
not
note.
about the money.
You want to contribute? Your contributions in the house. You take care of the house. You cook. You clean. Because what it's starting to sound like some other shit. And
It's not
that
something else.
That
It's,
shit ain't happening.
it's not something else. It's me having something for myself
It gotta be a
outside
whole
of you and the
different-
kids.
A whole different life if you think that's.
Babe, it's not like I don't even understand how we got there. Like, I literally am just looking for something that I have for myself. And I'm not
to
even
use
listening
that
to
degree.
what I'm
Because
saying
you're
and
talking
how I feel.
foolishness. You talking some bullshit.
So you just want me at home. That's not that's not the life that we planned. We didn't plan that life. When we met,
plan to have a happy family, stress free. What don't you have out of that? How are you putting?
Can we please finish?
So, what I think that she's saying, again, provided this is not a skit, is that she is unhappy and doesn't feel satisfied and content with just being a housewife. I don't know if I have a problem with that. Particularly if the kids get older. If the kids get older, just because you're providing for her doesn't mean that she is mentally stimulated at home doing nothing. Now, the kids are, 10, 11, whatever. Let the woman go to work. that would be my and I know that probably sounds, you're gonna let a woman go to work, but if the arrangement was, you're gonna raise the kids, then we'll finish. Then if she's meeting her end of the bargain, why not? There's 3 parts of this. We'll play part 2.
Because all this, you need something for yourself. You sounding ungrateful, and that shit.
How
is
am I
pissing me off.
ungrateful for wanting something for myself?
What do you need that you don't have? You don't appreciate what
it's
you
not
have.
the same
You just got
thing.
some shit. Now you want some more shit.
It's not the
You
same
got everything that you need. Now you want more. You are ungrateful. That is the prime definition of ungrateful.
I don't think. Okay.
Like, can we be done with this? Can we be done?
Okay.
Like, I had enough of this shit. Because you sounded crazy. You want more. You want more. You want something for yourself. Ungrateful and selfish. You want something for yourself. Am I going out and getting extras? I'm doing all the work. I'm working every day. Can I get some extras? No, I come home to you and the kids. Everything you have is provided. Because all this, you need.
Bro, I gotta say, I don't see what's wrong.
I'm doing all the work. I'm working every day. Can I get some extras? No, I come home to you and the kids. Everything you have is provided. Everything is taken care of already. What extra you need? Ungrateful and it's selfish.
I wasn't trying to upset you. I was just.
We passed that. You wasn't trying to, but you brought this shit up again. So how are you not trying? It feels deliberate.
It wasn't deliberate.
Shit, it sounds on purpose as fuck right now. You need something for yourself. What you need for yourself that you don't already have. Provide and protect, right? I'm holding on my end of the bargain, but you need more. You need some fucking more. I'm doing all the work.
I gotta say, I hope this is a skit. No, I have raised a boy and a girl, and I want my daughter to be as much as she can, go as far as she can. And if she ended up with a dude like this who is not supportive of her fulfilling dreams, goals, and ambitions, I would have an issue with that. I would have an issue with that. It's one thing to raise the kids. It's one thing to raise the kids and say, okay, I'm going to take over while we get the kids off to a decent age, 12, 13, 14, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, something like that. But then she's feeling, if this is not a skit, she's feeling unfulfilled. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is kicking in, right? She's done all this. Now she wants something different. So let's go back to the other lady here. Hit the like button, y'all. I would not be happy with that. If my daughter wanted to go back to school and get her master's, I don't see any problem with that. She wanted to go get a job because everything is okay as far as a home. Yeah, I agree with that, Mackie Simmons. That husband is misusing his role as provider for the family to control and abuse his wife and family. And she's not expressing herself. He starts swearing and this, that, and the other. If this is not a skit, she might not feel safe to do this. So he said he don't want to hear it no more. He's swearing and whatnot. He's not having a dialogue. It's great that just because you are providing doesn't mean that you are able to be her master and to keep her locked in a cage. Doesn't mean you have to listen to her dreams, hopes, desires. You're probably right. There's not enough context to make an excuse, to make an accurate judgment. He asked for it multiple times. I'm going to ask you to come up, BGS, if you got time, brother.
How is your frame of thinking going to impact them due to you being successful? And this is primarily because men tend to use success as a ladder to go from woman to woman, to go from lifestyle to lifestyle, because men see success as a ladder, okay? They see it as a way to climb up higher in the hierarchy. And so what happens is that usually this thought is projected onto women. So, for example, let's just say, you have somebody that you've been dating, long-term for quite some time. And let's say that you are currently on a trajectory of you becoming like a graduate of some graduate program. So it could be medical, it could be lawyer. Sometimes men will say jokes and they'll say things like, once you become a lawyer, you're not going to see any purpose of being with me. Once you become a lawyer, you're going to go find somebody else better than me. Men will quote unquote make jokes about this. Really, it's not a joke. It actually is a true feeling that a lot of.
Listen, if you're saying stuff like that, and Micah Malice, man, feel free to tell us why. I told y'all some of y'all wasn't gonna like this episode. Told y'all that first from jump. Hate to say it, but if my wife wanted to go back to college, I would be 110% against it. Why would you be against it? Now, if she's taking on student loans and it's going to hurt the family financially, I understand that. But I'm assuming everything else is done. Assuming everything else is done, the kids are taking care of this, that, and the other. Everything that she was doing is being done. Why would you be against that? I'm genuinely curious to you and to anyone else. Why would you be against that? I'm going to tell you, I went back to school. Of course, I'm the breadwinner. I was the breadwinner in my relationship, even though my ex did have a job. I paid the vast bulk of the bills. And I went back to school. And I told her, and then she was like, "Oh, I didn't get a chance to go back to school because she only had her bachelor's." So I said, "Why don't you go back to school? I mean, the kids are. I went back to school, and the kids are big enough. My daughter was 11 or 12. My son was 12 or 13, and my stepson was 14 or 15, something like that. Really, really close in age." And so I'm like, "Listen, I waited till now to go back to school." And I'm working full time, but I'm going to go back to school. Why can't you do it? The kids, we'll all take care of everything together. And I was coaching for my police activity league. So I was coaching, working full time, raising a family. I'm going back to school. What would be the negative to doing that as for a woman? I would encourage, and I encourage when I finish my master's, I'm like, okay, I got mine. Go back and get yours. Why would that be an issue? I'm confused about. I'm genuinely confused about that. And I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand. Now, if you are concerned with this lady saying that if you become a lawyer, you're not going to need me anymore, then we got to do a better job vetting. We got to do it. There's obviously some stuff behind the scenes that needs to be dug through. I was not at all thinking about. It was never in my mind that you're going to go to school and then leave me one day. That was never in my mind.
Of men will have, because say jokes and they'll say things like, once you become a lawyer, you're not going to see any purpose of being with me. Once you become a lawyer, you're going to go find somebody else better than me. Men.
Well, that's understandable. Yeah. At now, yeah, that would be ridiculous. Wait till the kids get bigger. Right. I definitely agree with that. Appreciate you answering. You didn't have to do that. What's up, High Vibe?
Will quote unquote make jokes about this. Really, it's not a joke. It actually is a true feeling that a lot of men will have, because they're most oftentimes projecting what they would do in your situation if they were to gain success.
Never, and I mean never, date an educated woman, a successful woman, a wealthy woman, a rich girl, a dominant woman, a competitive woman, a woman that is fixed on becoming a successful entrepreneur, someone going up the career ladder. Any kind of woman like that, you never ever go near. Not because she's evil, not because she's a bad person, but because it is completely out of alignment with her nature.
Okay, so this is terrible advice, okay? I can't believe men are actually listening to this. Y'all are stuck in this mentality that women belong in the house. They belong in the kitchen. They should stay at home, cook, clean, wash your dirty drawers, and give you smecks whenever you want it. Y'all want women to be beneath y'all, okay? Which is why you don't want a woman who's educated and successful, right? I think y'all are intimidated by successful women because they have their own things. They have their own money, their own careers. They're educated. They can do things on their own without a man around. And the crazy part is, a lot of the guys who think like this don't even have their lives together, okay? They're still living in mommy's basement eating Hot Pockets, right?
Let's read this from my call here. Doctor, my question would be, if we're having a discussion about women wanting to go back to school at a later date or go back in the career field, should we also be having a question in regards of...
Men believe that their level of success is supposed to have an aesthetic. They believe that it's supposed to have a certain picture. So a man believes, okay, when I reach this amount of success, this is a
later date or go back in the career field. So we should also be having a question in regards of situations where women do look at their partners differently, change their mind, or even do a comparison with other men, and the idea of leaving the relationship plays a part due to their success. So it's a fear of exactly what this lady is saying, that this woman is going to outshine me. She's going to be more socially advanced. And listen, I've seen videos like this. I'm not saying that this is not a possibility. I've seen videos of this. There was this one in particular Black woman who was saying, yeah, when I got a career, I got my degree, I moved up in my job, and I told my husband I didn't need him no more. And then she regretted it. It absolutely happens. There's absolutely people who think like that, who are in it just for safety and security now, and as soon as they can do better, that they end up leaving. Men and women do that, but we'll stick with the women doing that. Is that a reason to be fearful? Listen, I want the men to not be fearful. That's what I want. I want the men to choose better, choose good women, not be fearful. Be judicious about your selection and mate processes. And you can't be scared of that kind of thing. Now, as I was reading through some of the information before, some of the stuff wouldn't even be a problem if you didn't get married. I mean, I am not one who's going to say you need to be married. I'm not one to say, particularly with the state. It's a different story when the kids start coming, and because I do think that the kids need a level of protection. The families need a level of protection. But if we're talking about your woman is going to leave you, then why would you want a woman to be trapped with you? Why would you want a trapped woman who's unhappy? I don't get that. I don't get that. So I want the men to make decisions that are best in their financial interests and in their mental interests. And part of that would be to marry someone who's on your equal level. Medium Man did a video. I couldn't find. I was going to play it. He did a video in which he talked about the percentage of men or high-ranking, highly successful men often marry within their tax bracket. Either it's a daughter of somebody they know, or if you're a surgeon, you marry another surgeon. How many college professors marry each other? A lot of times lawyers marry each other. They're making business decisions, and we got to start making business decisions. And I don't have a problem with saying, okay, I'm going to take a job. I'm going to work a bunch of overtime and send you to school. Now, could that backfire and say, okay, she goes to school or he goes to school? It happens both ways. And then they end up leaving each other, leaving their spouse and then going off to find. I mean, that's a chance people are taking. But but the alternative is to hold somebody hostage, to berate them, to financially abuse them. I'm not with all that. I don't think that's manly. I think men stand on their own square, and I want men to be confident. Remember, we talked about what intimidation is. The opposite is confidence. Be confident in who you are. You go back to school. You get your skills up. You be the best version of yourself. You work on your attitude, your mentality. So you're not thinking along those lines. What and you as a man ought to say, okay, I'm too good to leave. I'm too good to leave. I treat you good. I give you what you want. We go on dates. I'm a good man. The Smex is good. I'm too good to leave, whether you get a college education or not. That's why I want you to think. And whatever it is about yourself that you need to work on, you need to work on that. Is it going to work 100% of the time? Of course not. I'm not ignorant to that. But I am saying that this defeated attitude that I got to keep you trapped in the house and I don't want you doing whatever, because I had a daughter. I have a daughter. And I would never want her. Anytime I hear things, I filter it through, how would I want my daughter to live? In the previous video that we showed, where the woman was in the car, if she called me and told me that this is how her man was talking to her, I would have a problem with that. Conversely, I would have a problem with my son if he said the same thing. I would tell my son, don't you ever talk to a woman like that. What's wrong with you? You're not man enough to hold on to your woman? That's exactly what I would talk to him. And he listens to the show and he knows it. Sometimes he's in the comment sections. Don't talk to no woman like that. Don't try to hold no woman back. She wants to go, then go. She want to go, then go. Go on. I'll get another one. There's somebody else who'll appreciate what I am and who I am and what I bring and what I offer. That's why I want men to think. You can't be intimidated by that. Can't be intimidated by that. Tax bracket is the poor judgment. Appreciate the $5 here. Tax bracket is the poor judgment. Your class you graduate in, the people you grew up around, are more like reality. That person just makes more money. Some men may not be intimidated by a successful woman. However, some men may be uncomfortable or insecure about dating or marrying a highly successful woman who is out of his league. Well, first of all, date within your league. I don't have a problem with that. Date within your league. date within your league, your class. But this idea that you're going to get with a woman and then refuse to allow her to advance herself, it's first got to be addressed in you. Y'all know this channel, right? I talk to you first. What is it about you that needs to be fixed? When I got married the second time, I had no education. I had a high school diploma. My ex had her bachelor's. So I said, I was thinking in my mind, listen, I'm a competitive person by nature. I said, okay, I'm going to get my bachelor's degree. Went back to school, we got my bachelor's degree. And then started making advancements on the PD. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to make advancements, bachelor's not going to do it. I got to get a master's. So I went back to school, got my master's. And I told you guys this before. I said, listen, I got my master's now. You can go back and get yours. But that was opportunities that were afforded to me. And I'm not saying it's about education, but we are talking about successful women. And I'm not talking about just about education, but you got to be brothers, you got to be doing something. Brothers, you got to be doing something. If you work I've said this before, if you work on a forklift as a forklift operator, why can't you become the instructor? Why can't you take certifications or whatever it is within the warehouse, whatever? The problem, I think, a lot of times is drive. That's what a lot of the ladies are saying, is it's not where you are today, but it's where you want to go, where you want to be. And if you're not driven to do something to make advancements, and listen, I worked at the PD where guys were like, oh, listen, I don't want to take the sergeant's exam. I want to move up. I don't want to do that. I'm happy. Or sometimes they would just be like, oh, I'm happy being a detective. I'm happy being a sergeant. I don't want to take the lieutenant's examination. I said to myself, I'm going to go as far and as fast as possible. That's the drive that I have. Everybody don't have that. But if you don't have that, don't complain about the woman that you are when she wants to have that. That's my point. I just can't see co-signing to my son to act this way towards a woman. Conversely, I would be livid if somebody said this to my daughter. I would be livid. But I would talk to her about it. I'm not going to talk to the dude about it. I'm like, what are you going to do about that? Because this man is suffocating you, stifling your dreams, your goals, your ambitions, your drive, your desires. Oh, anytime my daughter tells me what she wants to do, I'm like, great, go for it. We do it. Well, how can I help you do it? How can I help you do it? What do you need? And then she drops off this cat in my house. So, Dr. El, now for your daughter, what if she wants to leave the relationship because she's now upgrading in her career and believes she can do better? I would talk to her about that. But why would you leave this dude? This dude was supportive. I would have the same conversations. This is the conversation I would have. Why are you going to leave this dude? What is it about him now that you didn't see in him before? I have to believe that the values that I have instilled in my children try to get them to see the character. And my daughter today will say she doesn't care about X, Y, and Z, but what she cares about as far as his success today, but what she cares about is, you're going to be in the same place in 5 years? And I don't have any smoke for that, because I say to myself, as a man, I set the standard for what my daughter wants. This is what my daughter saw me. My daughter pinned my supervisor badges on for my for my sergeant and for my captain. My daughter pinned it on. So I set the standard. And so I would not expect her to have any type of less demands for the man that she's going to be with. Now, she marries a doctor, a surgeon or something like that, and then she goes and gets a master's degree someplace else, and he wants to leave this dude. I'm like, why would you leave this dude? What's wrong? Besides, education, career advancement, that shouldn't be it. Maybe he's violent, maybe he's not expressive, or maybe he's whatever. I think it should be a conversation, but I would certainly not be supportive. To answer the question directly, I would certainly not be supportive of her just leaving the man because she's now got a degree, right? I think that's completely unacceptable, and I would never tolerate that from any of my children. I think it's got to be about the family. Dave, for you, I support your perspective 100%. And regardless of a woman's position, should learn how to focus their drive. Right. Listen, I coached, so I coached a lot of kids. So I met a lot of single mothers and stuff. And I remember this one lady telling me this heartbreaking story about she had graduated. she was going to graduate with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I talked about that. Why you getting a degree in criminal justice? But that's what she got a degree in. She graduated bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Whole family's there. First time anybody in her family, I think was one of the first people in her family to get a bachelor's degree. I think, right? Single mom. Actually, no, she was with a dude. I think they were married actually at the time. Everybody's there except for her own husband. Can you imagine that? Your kids are at your graduation. Your parents are at your graduation. Your aunts, your uncles. I don't know who else was there. And she told me that this man was not at my graduation. Come on now, brothers. I can't co-sign. I can't co-sign not being there for your woman. For a woman who's giving you what you want. I can't co-sign that. I can't co-sign you being intimidated because you are not doing what you got to do. Attitude, yes. Am I telling you to put up with boss babe energy and attitude? Absolutely not. Get rid of her just like anybody else. You meet some woman at a bar, at a club, or at a grocery store, and she's looking you up and down. The only thing, you drive the right kind of car or whatever. You're out of her league. Yeah, you're right. You're right. My cousin, female cousin, she told me, listen, you got to tell women you ain't that guy. Listen, I'm not that guy, right? I got to buy all this stuff. I got to support this. I got to do that. I'm not that dude. I'm not that guy. I'm not that dude. And that same thing goes for a woman who's coming off with that type of boss type behavior, attitude, and energy. I'm not that dude. You don't talk to me this way. I don't care what your career is. I don't care where you work at. I don't care what your education level is. Don't talk to me like that. Respect is earned. It is not granted just because you're a man, just because you're a husband, just because you work at so-and-so. You got to earn that. And I call $5. Appreciate you. I've come across successful women with degrees, but don't know how to be in a relationship. And there's an expectation that the man will teach them. We've talked about that where men don't get the training. If you're a man, you don't get the training. And then listen, this is probably me too, right? You didn't get the training as far as, how to interact and stuff. And a lot of times women are on the same thing, right? All they know is be a boss babe, get this money, get this career, get this education. I don't have time to study. I don't have time to date because I'm studying too much. I get that. That's probably an issue. It's probably an issue. But the question is, and here's a valid question. If she don't have that much experience, why can't you? It's literally, why can't you teach her? Here's how you treat a man. Here's how you treat me. Here's what I expect. And if she's pliable, if she's cooperative, then you can work with that. Okay, here's what a man expects. Now, if she don't want to do it, I dress the way I want to dress. I played the videos about the young girls who are talking about the hair. Listen, men don't dictate what we wear. Well, why would you deal with that type of woman? Oh, listen, in my time of being back out here, I've run into women and say, listen, I'm kind of a career woman. They didn't really put it in this phrase, but they have told me specifically, I don't cook, I don't clean, and I don't want to learn how to cook. What else we got to talk about? Because I am looking for a nurturing woman, period. I don't care if you work or not. I'm looking for a nurturing woman. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm good by myself. That's me. You got to figure out who you are, what you want, and how you're going to get that. And don't negotiate. Do not negotiate. To me, that's just a sign. They're going to see that as a sign of weakness. You got to get what's best for you. But the question is if the expectation is for you to teach them, teach them. Tell them what you want. Here's what I want. Here's what I desire. Here's what I want. Here's what I desire. Here's what I need as a man. Can you fulfill that? You want to be in a relationship with me? Too many of y'all want to please these women, and you're not willing to walk away. I believe the BGS just did an episode. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. about being over 35. I can tell you, being over 30. Well, for me, it was really kind of over 45. But anyway, you're just crazy. You're just crazy with your testosterone. And I tell this to my own son. I tell him, listen, if you can understand what I'm trying to tell you now, my son is in his 20s. If you can understand this and have some discipline about who you're rocking out with, you will rule the world. You can rule the world. Figuratively. What do I tell him? I tell him, listen, don't chase everything down the street. You're a single man in your 20s who's been in the military, who's got his own stuff, who's got his own condo, who drives his own bike. Why do you need to settle for anything else? And you got to have that abundant mindset. The men who are listening to this, you got to have this abundant mindset. That is what is going to cause you not to be intimidated when you run into these ladies. It's true that a lot. I don't go for men. Excuse me. I don't go for men, but I don't go for women who are deliberately educated. I just happen to just see one, and we just kind of just gravitate towards each other. But it doesn't matter to me. What's mattered to me is nurturing qualities. But you got to figure out what's good for you. But I'm going to tell you right now, no matter if I met a woman who didn't even graduate from high school, we had a good time, and she said, you know what, hey, you got a few things going on. I think I want to go back to school. I'm going to stop her from going back to school because I'm enjoying her nurturing personality because she cooks for me and cleans for me every day. I'm going to stop her from going to school, stop her from opening up a business, stop her from opening up a lemonade stand, stop her from doing whatever they do on Amazon to make money. That's crazy. Come on now. I know we're better than that. $4.99 from High Vibe. Appreciate this. Uplifting your partner's key, even outside of marriage. I owe my career change to a suggestion from an ex. I thanked him for pushing me to pivot. Absolutely. Let's see. So if I'm understanding you correctly, for a man, if you are content with one's job, career, there's a risk that your woman may view that as a lack of ambition in the relationship. If she level up in a career education, so men should be very thorough and vet properly. Absolutely, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're happy with who you are and you don't want to go back to school, I don't want to work overtime. We used to call it 8 and skate. We do 8 hours and we skating out the door. Right? I don't want to do overtime. I want to come home on the weekends and play video games. And if she wants to push me to start real estate or push me to do, and you don't want to do that, and she wants to do that, then let her go. Men, you gotta sack up. Y'all gotta sack up. She gonna leave me. Oh man, she gonna leave me. She gonna run around with the boss. She gonna find somebody at college who's better than me. Well, maybe she deserves that if that's the way you think. Let me just say it. Maybe that's the way. If that's the way you think, maybe you just deserve that. Listen, I grew up, my mother was extremely, extremely, extremely meek. And I determined not to be that way. I fought hard. I fought hard and long not to be seen as vulnerable, not to be weak. And I did a lot of growing on my police department. I did a lot of growing on my police department. It was the best thing that ever happened to me because of the way I grew up. I was extremely meek, humble. Somebody tested me, getting in fights and all that kind of stuff. But on the inside, mentally, I was not that dude. I was not that dude. So I get to the police department. Now you got to pass the academy. You got to do the physical stuff, right? Do the work. Schoolwork, studying for tests and stuff. How to do it. Not that it's all that rigorous. Let me be clear about that. Then, but the real world, people talking to you crazy, got to control yourself, move up the chain of command, become a sergeant at 27 years old. I was a sergeant. I had been telling people who were cops for 30 years, I'm 27. They had been a cop for 30 years. This report is wrong. This, that, and the other. You got to go stand over there. Do this. How come you didn't do that? That was the most uncomfortable. I'm telling you, out of all the mental uncomfortability, if that's even a word, uncomfortable things that anybody could ever do, that was the most uncomfortable. But I had to overcome it. I had to overcome it. Some of the men out here need to overcome their challenges, the lack of fathers, the mommy issues. You got to overcome that. If this type of stuff is triggering you because a woman wants to go back to college because she wants to move up in her career, I'm not telling you yay or nay whether to do that. But I am saying you got to stand on what you stand on. And if you're scared that this woman's going to leave you, either you got to have the attitude that you're the best one and she'll never find another one, or you got to let her go and work on yourself. Oh, well, she might take the kids if she finds somebody better. With that attitude, she probably deserves to. Let me just say, with that attitude, she probably just deserves to. Y'all got to sack up. Got to sack up. Dr. Ebony's in the building. I dated the man for 3 months. He told me he works in IT for the past 13 years. Come to find out, he worked in a call center. He had a bachelor's, but I can't advance due to lack of motivation. I'm done. Well, I mean, if he's again, this is a guy that's misrepresenting who he is. Okay, you work in a call. You don't want to be the manager of the call center? And listen, if he's happy with that, it pays his bills, then that's good for him. But there's nothing wrong with Dr. Ebony saying, I want better than this. Nothing wrong with that. It's good for him to say, I'm at where I'm at. This is me. Take it or leave it. Like it or leave it. And she said, I'm going to leave it because I need to go someplace. And if correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Ebony, but you just recently got your doctorate. I mean, I only got mine in the last 3 years. A lot of us older folks are going back to school. Come on now. Come on now. Some men feel threatened by a successful woman, often because those men are insecure about their own lack of status, accomplishments, and success. Then why don't they get their status, their accomplishments, and their successes up? Why don't they do that? Why don't they do that? Why? I understand, going to school can be expensive. I understand that, it takes time to get licenses, certifications, to start studying, to become a realtor, to tons of things to do. I understand that. It takes a long time to build a YouTube channel. Got to buy equipment and all. Some things cost time and investment and money, time and energy. The question is, why aren't you doing it? Appreciate the $5, Mackie Samuels. Appreciate that. My OBGYN wife initially was against me pursuing a second doctorate Big Mo, did I even know you had a first one in bio information? But she doesn't really get a say in what I can or cannot do. It comes to my own goals. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Now, here's what I will say in her defense: is that going to cut into the finances? That's a conversation you need to have as a couple, because you're going to take out more. You're going to take out more student loan debt to go back to school to get this degree. Then that's a conversation you got to have as a married couple. So, but y'all work that out. There are books on this phenomenon. I'd love to read them. PGS. What's up, Glorious Love? Good question. The reason why I personally can't is because when I've asked some other women would teach me how to be the man they're looking for. Their response is no. When I asked some of the women, would they teach me how to be the man? It's different for men and women. I personally, no woman wants to be. I just had this very exact conversation with my sons yesterday, son and stepson yesterday. It's just different. The women don't mind being taught, but they don't want to teach a man. They don't want to support a man, and they don't want to teach a man. Got to figure that out. It's not fit. We could talk about the changing environment, and this is the issue that I've already addressed, that I had with all those different articles that I read through. I had the same issues as everybody else, is looking at it through a very female-centric lens. I had a problem with that. However, it just is what it is, and no woman wants to teach a man. They don't want to teach, and we were going in. We were talking about the smecks, right? You don't want to get in the bed with no woman wants to get in the bed with a man who don't know what he's doing. Period. Point blank. You got to figure that thing out. And they don't want to support you either. So you want to know what a woman don't want to do? They don't want to teach you how to have sex, and they don't want to teach you, and they don't want to support you. That's when things that women do not want to do. So figure it out, guys. Status is way more important. Let's see here. Many of us on here on the internet would lean into someone with your specific background as a teachable experience. And listen, I'd love to give it, man. I'd love to give it. Listen, I don't brag. I really don't brag, but I think that I have a lot to teach because I went through it. Not just because, my doctorate is in leadership. And not only, I really could have taught the classes because I had to be a leader. I had to overcome challenges, and that was not taught. They look at, we took a look at leaders from the past and, all their glory and the decisions that they made and this, that. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, in the fire, when you're in the fire, and when you're out there in the field, you got active shooters, fire scenes. I couldn't be scared. I could not be scared, unsure of myself in those environments. Couldn't be that way. There's a difference. For a while I was I got my doctorate, and then they made me the chair of MBA. And some of the courses crossed over, right? So the Masters of Business Administration. The way that they wanted me to teach and talk to the business administration student, I'm like, I'm not talking to these kids like this. I was a cop, right? It was rough. I'm not going to talk to the people like that. That's why I'm going to talk to you guys like that. It's rough. You got to be a man. And I went through it, and I understand the personal pain of feeling unsure about myself and constantly second guessing myself and imposter syndrome. I went through it all. And whatever personal and internal struggles I had, the woman in my life don't want to deal with that. She wants a man who's confident. She want to know if somebody kicking the door that somebody's going to handle business. And that's the man that I had to be. You can struggle as a man. You can struggle as a man, but you should not struggle in front of your woman. Go to counseling, go to therapy, cry when your woman goes to the store. You can cry, you can feel bad, you can do this, that, and the other. Get it out. Go to counseling, get it, do it. Don't turn to drugs. Don't turn to alcohol. Don't do those things. Call your friends up. Have a good friend group. I suggest all of that. But if you want a woman, and this is what we're talking about here, if you want that, you got to be a man. This man be pan be stuff and this and that. So she gonna leave me if I let her go. What's wrong with y'all? Jeez. Let's see. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. A couple of books to be just suggesting the richer sex ends of endomagnetic. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. High Vibe is right. Women do not want to teach a man, to be honest. We're looking for leadership, not a student. Take control. And listen, if she cannot, well, not that she cannot, if she will not, I'm gonna be respectful as I say this here. Sometimes people think because I'm so respectful that I can be soft. Okay, keep thinking that. If you meet a woman who, because of her status, can't submit to you, let her go. Or be dominant. And that's something you got to work on, number one, for yourself, to achieve goals other than betting women. Let me be very clear about that. Don't just do it for yourself. Do it because you want to better yourself and not because you want to trick a woman into being in bed, right? This guy who was trying to date Dr. Ebony at the call center, why not become the IT person that you're pretending to be? You worked there for 13 years. What were you doing for 13 years? Just doing 8 hours a night? This is the lack of drive and ambition that women are talking about. These women for 13 years, you could have become a medical doctor. You could have taken classes. You could have got certifications. You could have taken promotional opportunities and exams. You could have started a YouTube. You could have taken carpentry class. You could have done something. What were you doing for 13 years? Man. All right, let me get back to this here.
House I'm supposed to have, the car I'm supposed to have, the woman that I'm supposed to be with, and she's supposed to look like XYZ. She is supposed to do this, this, and that. So a successful woman to a man is just essentially going to be doing the same thing that a man would. And so men already know that women have more available options naturally than men do, despite it being the fact that the options that we do have as women is primarily due to men wanting to have sex with us and nothing more. It's not like women have a ton of options of men who are like, I want to marry you and stay faithful and make you happy and, be a present father and help raise the children.
And that's a confusion that many women are suffering from, because you think you have all this stuff today is what you're going to have tomorrow. I don't think so. To answer your question, Big Mo, when your woman can't see you struggling, I don't think so. I know people say this. I'm going to tell you right now, from my own personal experiences, from my time in law enforcement, going to these different communities, environments, the people I work with, they cannot do it. They think that they can. It's okay to cry, this, that, and the other. You watch the episode I did about the Maggie, the substitute teacher. She wanted to redefine saying that men can cry and all kinds of. Women don't want that. They don't want it. I know that this is what they're saying out there. So I struggle in front of my mother, father, and grandma and uncle. Yeah, you struggle in front of family, cry in front of them, but your woman. And some people, still have mommy issues and daddy issues and stuff. But even in front of them, you got to be a man and let them know at certain point you got listen. At a certain point, you got to take control. Certain point, and I think the BGS has actually talked about this in a couple of his shows. Is as you grow up, a mother starts to become afraid of you because the little hits and taps and spankings and whatever you want to call them, they don't work anymore. And I remember I was 11 and I was not crying. My mother's trying to beat me, give me a spanking. I was 11. I don't know. It's not working. I could see that she got a little fearful. You start getting right now at 11, my voice changed as well. People used to call the house and hang up because like, who's this man? It's so this is, men, black men, have to be very careful about how we enter into the world. We all know this. But a hindrance to that is a lot of times the mothers, particularly single mothers, because they don't want to be outshadowed. They don't want to be their homes be taken over, become scared. This is true. This is absolutely true. Absolutely true in the literature. So they try to do things to undermine you. And this is why it takes so much emotional work when you become an adult to get over those issues, because you've been sabotaged in your teenage years to not think for yourself, to always follow on the mother. I think it was Dr. Thunder, his show today. They were addressing. He was looking on a video with Shaq being interviewed about Shaquille O'Neal about his upbringing, talking about his mother. I'm gonna put my mother in a home, this, that, and the other. Always thinking about mama. Always thinking about mama, and it's okay to think about mama. It's okay, but at some point in time, mama got to understand that you're a man, and you're gonna make decisions. I'm gonna make decisions about my house, my home, where I'm going to school. I'm going to join the military. I'm a man. And if you can't override that, think about what I'm saying here. If you can't override that, how can you override and walk up to and be strong around a woman? About a successful woman. And if you really are intimidated, scared, and this is not just for those who are watching this now, but whoever's going to watch it, you can even text it to your friends. If you're saying if the real reason that you don't want to address a woman who's successful is because secretly you feel intimidated, but outwardly what you're saying is, I don't want her attitude, this, that, and the other. You got to be honest with yourself first, brothers. Be honest with yourself first and ask yourself, what is it about this woman, about any successful woman? Not only successful today, but who wants to be successful. Yeah, today, right? Go back to the old joke. I used to always joke with my kids. I used to show them the movie Coming to America, right? And I used to joke with them. Listen, I understand. My daughter, she was working at Burger King for a while. I'm like, yeah, you're washing lettuce today, right? And she would get in the car, I'll go pick her up. Did they put you on fries yet? She understood my joke. The joke was you're moving yourself up. That was the joke. Now and I would joke with her, yeah, you still washing lettuce? Why would you be intimidated? Why would you do that? And today she's still moving up, still never satisfied. And I would be damned if she get with a man who's gonna take that away from her. I would be damned to hear my son try to take that away from another woman. Ain't nobody gonna punk let me tell you, nobody's gonna punk my son. And I don't believe anybody's gonna punk my daughter. All right, let's continue on with this here.
No, women just have more options when it comes to sexual desirability, right? And so what happens is that men are just always thinking like, okay, okay, but what is this woman going to do with this success, right? Having success could potentially open yourself up to having more prospects that may be better than him. The number one metric that most men like to use when it comes to their worth is finances. So if they know that you are going to be putting yourself in a predicament where you'll be around men that make more money, it is going to, in most cases, strike a little bit of
Night Call. I do one-on-one work. It's not counseling, it's life coaching. So just be careful, verbiage matters. I am not gonna Cheyenne Bryant this, but I do coaching. I absolutely do that. So and I know brothers need it. I know they do. I know they do. I know they do. I know they do. All these single brothers out here, all these feminine men out here, and I'm not saying feminine as a pejorative. I'm saying that they don't know how to stand up for themselves. They don't know how to react. They don't know how to not react. They don't know how to de-escalate, and they just act emotionally, right? These guys out here pulling guns, that's feminine behavior. You're not in control. Can't fight. Yeah. Hit me an email, brother. Yeah. Anyone else. I do this type of work.
Insecurity in him because it's going to challenge his ego by making him question, am I good enough to be with her? Am I capable enough to be with her? She's around men that make way more money than me. She may be around men that are way more good looking than me. And so it creates this dynamic where a man feels like he is in a losing position. A lot of women don't realize this, but a lot of the time men, they look at relationships like a game, okay? They don't look at relationships as a beautiful experience like women do. Men oftentimes look at relationships from a point of view of what position am I going to be in this relationship? What dynamic do I play when it comes to what it is that we have? Where do I fall in the hierarchy? And most of the time, men would prefer to be in a dynamic where they are the more superior person in the hierarchy. So
I think that women want that too. That's what often is lost. Again, the problem I have is they're saying that men, want to fall down. Men are psychologically damaged and this and that. Or when a woman starts making more, but the woman wants that too. That's what I want them to. That's the question I want them to answer. What do the women want? Because we read through some of the stats there that said, or some of the information that said, women get miserable too now. Stop looking at this from a feminist lens and ask what the women want, right? Scott Galloway was on a panel one time. Scott Galloway, who was an instructor at NYU, businessman, NYU marketing professor, was saying that, he's dealing with all these different types of men who are not motivated, whatever. And then the women would lean in and say, all this is good. I'm really working my way up, but I really want a manly man. These women really want a manly man, no matter how successful she is. Listen, they want to be pulled by the hair and slapped in the butt. It's true. It's true. They want that.
He will see your success as a roadblock to his sense of self, right? Because also with success, it comes with a lot more freedom, right? It comes with a lot more options. And so a lot of men, they don't like the idea of being chosen. They much rather be relied on, because in order for somebody to choose you, that would require you to be likable. That would require you to work on who you are as a person and instill a sense of, morals and values within yourself.
This is right. This is what she's saying. Let me rewind this here. But before I do, she starts talking about, you got to work on yourself. Stop looking at the woman and saying, man, she's too much for me. Come on now. That type of thinking, self-limiting thinking has to stop, has to change. If we're gonna make any I appreciate the proscription of what's going on within the Black community. Black community is in matriarchy. What are the men going to do about it? If you don't like the way the situation's going, what are you going to do about it? We got to raise up. It's been said in the chat. We got to raise up better boys to be men. High Vibe 499. Appreciate this. Do men feel more insecure about being motivated by a woman's success, so they reject her? In my opinion, people do come into your life to reflect us to ourselves. Do men feel more insecure about being motivated by a woman's success? I can't speak for all men. I don't really know if I know the answer to that. I'm gonna tell you one thing. I said I have this drive about me. And if I need to help light the fire of other brothers out there, then I would light the fire and say, why would you let your woman outshine you? Now, I'm not saying you got to go tit for tat. Your woman gets a bachelor's degree and you got to get a master's degree. I'm not saying you should live your life tit for tat and be in competition with your woman. I think that is problematic, and that can lead to negative and toxic behaviors. But I'm going to say, for me, I'm not going to be. I was going to say I'm not the only college educated. My wife wasn't going to be the only college educated one in my home, because I know it's important not only for my own advancement in my own career, but it's also important for the children to see that as well. That mommy and daddy are doing whatever. I just happened to keep going because I kept going. So, do they feel? Some men do. I mean, the bottom line is that some men do, and some men need to do the work about themselves and stop blaming the women for whatever's going on, and stop trying to put them down or hold them back. That's crazy to me. Let's listen to what she had to say a little bit more here. Rewind this a little bit. She's gonna tell you to work on yourselves, brothers.
Play when it comes to what it is that we have. Where do I fall in the hierarchy? And most of the time, men would prefer to be in a dynamic where they are the more superior person in the hierarchy. So he will see your success as a roadblock to his sense of self, right? Because also with success, it comes with a lot more freedom, right?
Don't let anyone or anything block your sense of freedom, autonomy, and whatever. Black people have done too much to get to a certain place of mental freedom, mental hierarchy, mental uplifting. In any place, anyone, we can't let people stand in our way of that. This is why people are fighting so hard about this Nolan Wells case. Is why people are fighting so hard about this situation with the voting. We worked too hard. We had suffered too many abuses and beatings and dogs sicked on us, and all the other things we had to do to get the vote, to be able to go to and hang out with whoever we want to on a boat. We've worked too hard for that type of thing. And men ought to be in the same position. If you're not thinking that way, you got to start thinking that way. We've worked too hard to be in this position, and I'm not going to be taken down. I'm not going to be intimidated by a woman, especially if I have the means and access to success. What is it that is prohibiting my means and my access to success? Let me get my email address here. Y'all make sure you hit the like button. Appreciate you guys. Somebody keeps hiding my email address. Who's doing that? Who's hiding my email address here? Here we go here. Email address here.
With a lot more options. And so a lot of men, they don't like the idea of being chosen. They much rather be relied on, because in order for somebody to choose you, that would require you to be likable. That would require you to work on who you are as a person and instill a sense of, morals and values with
morals, values, and instilling yourself a set of morals and values, and be a likable person. If you're not these things, then she may leave you. Yes. Let's just call it what it is. If you're not likable, you're not moral, you don't keep your word, you enter into dates and start telling somebody you work at IT, meanwhile you're really at a call center, she might leave you. Yes. Dr. Ebony left that man because he had no morals and values, and from jump he was telling her lies. She had every right to leave him.
in yourself that would make a person want to choose you not only once, but choose you repeatedly. This is where the insecurity they have is very, very palpable, because then you as a successful woman, they already know in order for her to choose me, it's because she would actually have to like me. It is because she would have to want me, as opposed to, oh, well, she has no choice but to be here because she has to deal with me, right? She's not successful. She doesn't have anything going for herself. She actually needs me, because a lot of the time when you're simply relied upon, a lot of relationship dynamics, a lot of men believe that, oh, well, as long as she can rely on me, that cancels out any character development that I would need to actually make this relationship enjoyable. They don't mind being tolerated just to keep you around. So men don't tend to like relationships, if they're not going to be superior. They also don't like it when they are equal with their partner. They would much rather be in a relationship where they're superior, right? Where they have more power in the situation. This is why they will choose things.
I think the women want that too. I think they want that too. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Things like age gap dating. They prefer for there to be more disparity financially between himself and the woman, or any type of scenario where the woman can be seen as lesser and be seen as inferior. A successful woman is going to bridge the gap too much for the insecure man who thrives on feeling like he is better than the woman he is with. That's just going to be too uncomfortable for a man to want to deal with a woman that is successful. A successful woman also gives the woman financial stability to be able to leave a situation that no longer serves her.
Men on average don't.
If you're scared of that, man, if you're scared of that she's going to leave you because she's become financially viable, then that's a you problem. It's a you problem. It's a you problem. And you got to fix that about you. Fix your finances, fix yourself. Now, yes, I've gone over studies about the study about the Denmark situation where it's saying that women who make a certain amount of money no longer want to get married. Read through all that. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you as a man to put yourself in the best financial situation for yourself. Don't marry the state. That's my opinion. Don't marry the state. But I'm certainly not going to stand in somebody else's way. I'm not going to do that. And I don't want anybody to do that to my daughter. We've been on almost 2 hours. Let me finish this up here.
Like successful women, because successful or like high value women are very inconvenient. She has like all of these things that he's obviously not used to. She has boundaries. She, sets a certain set of standards for herself. She keeps up with a routine. She tells you how it is straight to your face. And she's like, either take it or leave it, but this is how it is. She's honest. She's secure.
Long gone are the days where women could not self-sustain financially.
Dr. L, she's basically openly saying as she advances, there are more men, but at the same time, all men should leave regardless if a woman thinks like that. She is using extreme argument. Is the woman likable when she is working or not? We are in such a precarious time. I'm going to leave this off here. We've been on for 2 hours. I didn't realize it was like that. So maybe I'll finish this up another time or not. But let me just try to answer this particular question here. My thoughts about it. The times that we're living in, men and women don't need each other. Period, point blank, end story. They don't need each other. So you have to be with a woman that you want to be with and who wants to be with you. That's just the bottom line. If you don't want to be with her, if she don't want to be with you, and I mean genuinely desire, then what are you going to do about that? It's not 100 years ago where the men were the sole providers, and now they're going to up and leave. We saw this happen when no fault divorce kicked in. We saw this happen, when women get money. We saw the stats where 30% of women who start making more money than their husband, 30% more. There's a 30% more likely chance of the people who get divorced that the woman is going to get divorced. We read through that stuff, or at least I gave you the information where you can find that. So this is what it is. So you got to make a decision as to whether you want to be in that situation or not. You got to make a decision as to whether you want to be in that situation or not, and whether you want to play that game or not. I'm 53. I ain't playing that game, right? I really just kind of want somebody to just go to moves with every now and then. I'm kind of good with that. But if you want to partner up and start and create a family, there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to think about. And let me just say, if you're going to create a family, do a good job of vetting, understand the family dynamics and family backgrounds and relationship she has with her father, relationship she has with her mother, all the other things that go along with that. Do a good job knowing who she is. Develop your own moral character, your sense of purpose. Develop who you are as a person. Develop that, right? Because when the money runs out, NFL players. What is the divorce rate for NFL players once they leave the league? Let me Google that. because that'll tell you everything. Because I think I can't prove this, but I think the NFL players when they leave the league, when NFL divorce rate, I think because NFL players are so gung-ho, so intense, because of the way they've been trained in football and this, that, and the other, that they're like that at home. I'm not there. I'm just guessing that they're like that at home. And when the money runs out, the women are like, okay, I don't got to put up with this no more. They're not likable people. That's just my opinion. And I know one football player, and it's not a good situation that I know personally, not just know of, but know personally. The NFL divorce rate is 60 and 80% because these women don't want to be with these dudes. They don't want to be with these dudes. ChatGPT is saying, or I use Gemini is saying 60 and 80%. And 75% of players face serious financial hardship or divorce within 5 years of leaving the league because they're not likable people. They're intense. They probably been running around cheating, got kids all over the place. They're not likable people. So be a likable person. So when the money runs out, or you get laid off, or things happen, or life happens, that she would actually like you as a person and stick around. Come on now. Come on now. I want the men out there to really become confident human beings. I want the men out there to become confident human beings. And these what ifs are all fine as far as thought experiments. But the most important thing is to work on yourself, your character, and to make people want to be around you. You know, I know people, I know men who don't have relationships with their kids. And I don't understand that. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I know people call the kids, they don't call them back. Don't text them back. It's crazy to me. I listen to both sides. I listen to both sides of the argument as to what women have said in the past or what they're saying now. I at least listen. It may not always be convincing, but at least I listen. And when the women say, and we can't take everything as for granted. You know, a lot of things we don't know, we don't have records of. But when women say that their aunts and aunties and all this were held hostage, and not so much held hostage, but you know, we're in financial situations they couldn't leave. I don't know. But here's what I know today is that a lot of these women ain't gonna tolerate that. So if you want a woman and you want to be married, there's things you got to consider. Do I think it's personally is worth it? Not as a man. I wouldn't advise that, but I know that this is what brothers want. Brothers want relationships. Brothers want relationships. It's fine to be able to, you know, have this, that, and the other, but you want to come home and you want to smell some nice food cooking. You want to come home and have somebody listen to your day and run your bath water. That's going to take a give and take. It's going to take a give and take. You're going to have to give something for that. You're going to have to run her bath water sometimes. She's going to be a breadwinner. If you're going to be intimidated because you don't want to do that, I don't know. But you can't run around here being scared, and you can't run around here being scared and want to hold your wife hostage in the house. I was triggered by that video that I played. I had watched it before, but I was like, man, now I was watching it again for the second time about the woman in the car. I would have a fit if someone is talking to my daughter like that. And you should too. All right, I made this long enough. I appreciate. Let me know if you do BGS. I'm tired right now. But I appreciate everybody who chimed in $5, $2 from debut. Michael Malice for another $5. Night Call with the $5. High Vibe $4.99. Mackie Samuels $5, $4.99 from High Vibe. I appreciate that. Listen, I want guys to be the best version of themselves, and to run around here being scared. And say, I don't want my wife to go. It's okay. I'm not saying don't tell your woman to you got a 2 and a 3-year-old, a 2 and a 4-year-old at home. Girl, why are you trying to go back to school? We got stuff to do, right? However, the kids are now in middle school and I'm home all day and you're going to tell her not to go to school? Why? Did you treat her right? Did you treat her right in the time that she was raising your kids? Is she looking for an escape? What did you do to precipitate that? I don't know. Y'all tell me. So, all right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show. Appreciate y'all. What is the real meaning of being likable? What does that really mean? So if someone makes more money or less money, this isn't about money. This is about character and how you treat people, how you talk to people. Do you yell at your woman? Do you swear? Is she scared? Does she not have a say? Are you when people come around, do they want to talk to you? When people come to my home, my stepkid lives in Florida. He makes trips up here and he sees he's my stepson. He makes trips all around and he comes to see me. Hang out with his brother yesterday. Because I'm a likable guy, not to brag. I'm not drunk. I'm swearing. I treat people right. I keep my word. That's what I'm saying. Did you do that with your woman? Do you keep your word? Are you a man of your word? Can people depend on you? I agree. That's what is missing from these articles and studies. What is the situation that leads to could it be the finances? Could it, on all these studies and stuff? I agree. Listen, I read through some of the methodology and stuff, but some of it, and unless they're doing surveys, you're not going to get the answer to that. And it could be that she was looking for an escape. It could be that, she started working, the whole, what was that Tyler Perry movie? The whole Mrs. whatever that movie was. Oh, the Family That Prays, right? I'm moving up and now I want to hire a status man. It could be. I'm not saying it's not. It could be. It could be. But what are you doing? Ask yourself, if you're a man, I'm going to try to leave it off this. If you're a man, ask yourself what you're doing. Because if your kids don't want to talk to you, your own dog don't want to talk to you. My cat flops itself at my feet. Not because what if I was mean and nasty, kicking his cat all over the place and whatnot. Didn't feed her, didn't treat her right. She won't want to be around me. Kids come home. My sons we talk about. I'm so proud of this dude. He's into stocks and he's saying stuff I never heard. He's asking me about that. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I just give you $1,000. I don't know what you're talking about. Because he's reading and studying. He's moving up. He's about something. Are you about something as a man? Are you likable as a person, as a man? Are you on your way up doing something as a man? And then, if you run into a woman, you don't got to be intimidated. She's not in your league. She's not in your league. She drives a car that you couldn't afford in 3 years. Okay, go somewhere else. Go where you're loved and appreciated. But you don't got to put people down and harass them and say, and throw drinks at people and all this kind of crazy stuff. That's what makes you unlikable. Yes, he does, High Vibe. Yes, he does, as a matter of fact. Yes, he does. I appreciate that, Commission. I appreciate that. Commission, I work together at the PD, and we still contact now. You can't be a jerk to people. You can't be a jerk. I got really triggered from this episode of running into men, running into women, and saying, "What if she leaves me?" Man, that just throws me off. You're probably worth leaving then. Become somebody who she doesn't want to leave. How about that? We'll leave it up there. Take care, y'all. Much love and peace. Appreciate y'all.